want to be a police officer, a fireman, an airplane driver.
You know, they're going to be our doctors, they're going to be our everything in the future. We're going to be dependent on them.
The kids are our future, so they'll be running the government one of these days, right?
And we believe that they are our most precious resource, and cut through the rhetoric, one then has to look at what are we doing to enhance their development.
I want to be a pro soccer player, a professional cop, a teacher.
Hi, I'm Ramona Marr. Thank you for joining us for Kids Can't Wait. This show looks at why quality early learning and childcare is important for our children, our families, and our province. Can British Columbia afford to fund a childcare system? Absolutely. And working families, early learning experts, and economic leaders say we can't afford not to. There is a childcare crisis in BC today. In this program, you'll see how a public childcare system that benefits every family who needs it can be achieved here, and why it's important.
My sister is a hairdresser, she goes like this.
In a quality service, people are contributing to the education of young children. They are creating opportunities for those children to have experiences that they can't get in any other way.
I'm here to pick up my son Zachary. He's been attending daycare here for 3 years.
I like to go on the computers and play and go outside.
It's been a great opportunity for him to have socialization. It makes me feel fine to go to work because I know that my son is in a safe environment.
I like it because I have a lot of friends here. There's lots of toys because I get to have naps.
It's very interactive. They go outside every day, rain or shine. They've got nutritious snacks. They do arts and crafts, which I think is great.
I guess the phrase now is emotional intelligence and now social intelligence, where the kids learn how to react in a social environment with the direction from the workers here.
I've learned how to be a good friend and that you can't just have one friend.
Manners, be quiet, listen, stuff like that.
Know how to work with other groups. Know how to wait their turn if they have to. Know how to share a toy. Know how to understand somebody else's feelings. Know how to use words to solve problems. These are all developmental tasks that children can get very good at in very positive childcare environments.
One of the areas in New Westminster, the Queensborough area, has 63% of their children who speak a different language at home. The fact that they have not gone through any child care and they enter the school system without any preparation for school life has had an impact on their education.
They said they would tell anyone coming to the country with their children for the first time, make sure that you put your children in daycare because the children will learn how to read, they'll learn how to speak the language, speak English.
I definitely think that daycare helps prepare children for school.
Up to 24% of all kids in BC are in some ways vulnerable for school failure or not ready for school. And that cuts across all socioeconomic scales. Children who feel confident and competent and successful, they continue to do well through their school years.
If we don't get a focus on the children correct in the early years, the cost to society later on is huge. And I speak of special education placement, school dropout rates, incarceration, and the list goes on and on and on. So there's a great deal at stake.
If you're lucky enough to have a good childcare for your children, then I think you can see the absolute benefits from it. Personally, I would prefer it than leaving them at home with somebody because they're more on their own there than they are here. They're with other children, they're playing, they're socialising all day long, and I don't think it's institutionalising them at all.
Childcare isn't intended to replace parental care. It's intended to be another support for parents. It's supplemental care. And good quality childcare is a really good handshake with the family.
We're moving away from the extended families that traditionally gave the support. This is our support now.
We've got to stop saying it's all your responsibility and, if this kid's in trouble, then it's because you didn't do what you should have. And say, as neighborhoods, as communities, we're going to provide the support that families need. And some of that's childcare.
As a parent, I've faced childcare choices. I've had to balance wanting to stay home to take care of my kids with being a working mother and being active in our community.
In BC, nearly 3/4 of all mothers with children ages 3 to 5 are in the workforce today. But we haven't developed public childcare services to keep up with the changing needs of families. As a result, many BC families can't find childcare in their communities.
In recent years, early learning and childcare services in BC have taken more steps back than forward. We're seeing the fallout today with wait lists growing in urban and rural communities. Less than 20% of BC families who want quality childcare are being served.
Finding childcare was one of the biggest stresses I've ever had in my life.
We have 1,200 families on the waiting list looking for care within the next 12 months.
I've been on the waiting list since I was 3 months pregnant.
We have hundreds of people on our wait list, begging to get in.
People have called up to go on our wait list and they aren't pregnant yet. And our board of directors actually just wrote a policy around parents needing to be pregnant and having a due date.
When we were finally accepted into certain childcare centers that, taking on a child with special needs, they just didn't do. So there was maybe 2 that we had a choice between. And even still, he can only attend for 7.5 hours a day, which makes it impossible for me to work.
It has a significant impact on the ability for low-income parents to go back to work, for student parents.
It was kind of crazy because I was about to start studying and I couldn't find a place that had places for my kids. I had to not to start studying when I planned it. I start studying 4 months after that when I finally find a place.
Wait lists of 1,900 and 2,000 people and things like that. And expensive, very expensive.
Licensed childcare facilities in BC include group centres, family home daycares, preschool and out-of-school care programs.
Services may be offered by private operators or by nonprofit societies that are often run by parent boards. Depending on a child's age, licensed childcare ranges from $600 to $1,200 or more a month.
It's a big chunk of our income. I mean, it's as much as we pay for our housing and a part of our mortgage payment and things like that.
Parents are saying, I can't afford childcare. And as a result, they're dropping out of the workforce and exacerbating this problem of labor availability.
We always joked about having 4 kids, or I did anyways. And after 2, I just don't see how it's possible.
Next, you're going to meet 3 Vancouver families who didn't know each other until their search for childcare solutions brought them together.
With limited childcare choices, Tamara Litke juggles her roles as both parent and professional. She currently works part-time managing a farmer's market in Vancouver.
Everyone is different, but for me, after having a career for 20-some years in management, I need to be working. I think I'm more balanced, and it's a way for me to exercise myself, to be with adults, to have adult conversations, to be useful in a different way, and then I feel like I'm more energized and recharged when I'm at home with her.
Tamara's husband Steve works in flood management, but that didn't prepare him for immersion in the search for childcare for their young daughter Amber.
I probably underestimated how challenging it would be and how many different options we would end up looking into.
Kim Fleming and her 2-year-old daughter Lucy face especially trying childcare challenges. Just 6 weeks after she was born, Lucy's father died in a tragic accident. Kim moved from their home on the Sunshine Coast, seeking the support of family and friends in Vancouver. She is now studying social work and plans to be a counselor.
Having Lucy full-time all the time, while I had help from friends and my partner's family, I was totally overwhelmed. Finding childcare was a part of that. It was really important. It made my relationship with Lucy better. I was just so happy to see her, and she was so happy to see me when she came home. Over time, the feeling of overwhelmment has dissipated and just given me the strength to continue moving forward.
Stephanie Mango plans to return soon to her full-time job as a business analyst. Her partner, John Flipsy, works long hours managing catering services at the University of British Columbia. Their 2-year-old son, Adrian, is on a waiting list for childcare at UBC.
It would be ideal if I could take him there with me, drop him off, and even if I had to stay late, then I could bring him back.
I did go there and do a field visit, and I was very impressed with how they interacted with the children and the routines they had, and just very impressive as far as a group daycare is considered.
As of this September, the children being offered space at UBC Childcare had been on the list for 24 months, and that is getting worse and worse every year.
The wait for affordable, accessible, quality childcare has driven these families to creative extremes. They've started taking turns sharing a single childcare space among their 3 children.
I couldn't find daycare for Adrian until he was 20 months, and then I only needed it part-time, but I was petrified to give it up because there's such a crisis in this city. I thought I'll never get full-time daycare again when I go back to work. And then I thought, you know, it would make sense to find some other moms who are in the same position as me.
So I called around to registered daycares, and they asked for your due date, and that was a little disheartening.
I know you've had quite the ordeal with
I started looking when Amber was 4 months old, and I interviewed group daycares, home daycares, licensed daycares. I looked a little bit at nannies, and I got on wait lists.
I've never ever heard from any of the wait lists I put Lucy on, and she's now 2 1/4.
I was so upset to the core when I found out that the current government was going to cancel the National Daycare Program, which people had been working for years to establish. I was so disappointed.
Perfect.
So it's settled, right? Kim, Monday, Wednesdays, Stephanie, Tuesday, Thursdays, tomorrow, Fridays.
Today, it's Lucy's turn for childcare. Michelle Buskey, a single mom, runs a small licensed family daycare from her home in East Vancouver.
And a pink one for Lila. That's nice, Lucy. Lucy has just blossomed since she's been in Michelle's. So I think it's important for her in that way, and for me, I'm just going to need more of it.
It's still not a long-term solution. I feel like she's almost 2 years old, and it's still these piecemeal solutions that'll get me through. Like right now, what I've got will get me through until February.
And the government really needs to wake up and realize that the crisis that exists now is going to be even worse. 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 15 years from now, and our children are going to suffer.
Early childhood educators are professionals, studying for 2 to 3 years before certification, like these students at Malaspina University College in Nanaimo. Early childhood educators are trained to spot problems at early stages.
You know, are they meeting their developmental milestones? Are they socially adapt with the rest of the children? How is their body moving? Is it moving appropriately for their age? And if we're seeing some flags, we can contact the support we need before the child attends school.
Working with children takes compassion, energy, and patience with the less glamorous duties.
I work in an infant toddler center most of the time, so we change diapers every 2 hours, so it adds up to a lot.
We see kids' first words and first steps, and I always tell my friends and family that I cuddle for a living. You know, it's very, very rewarding.
They have such patience, great care, they know how to deal with the children, and unfortunately in the system they are so underpaid.
I think there's an attitude, a society attitude that says it's women's work, any woman can do it, and my students could attest that this is complex work.
I didn't understand how much was involved in childcare before I actually enrolled into the program. Yeah, it's going to be easy peasy, you know, go play with some kids, come home. It's tough.
I don't think most people value this because some of them think that we are just nannying them, like we are just nannies and that we don't bring much into it.
8 toddlers, 8 1-year-olds. But if I put it that way, people are like, wow, 8 1-year-olds, I couldn't even handle one.
I think focus on the children's agenda, early child development, child care, should rank up there with public education, with Medicare. 3 platforms that will advance our civil society.
And given the cost of housing and other things here in British Columbia, being a single income family is not really a reality for most people. So I think there needs to be options, and flexible options and affordable options.
I'd rather have systems that are set up where I can take my child to a location where there's qualified people being paid proper wages, taking pride in their work, and I feel confident leaving my child there.